Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This webinar has been organized by Expenditures and iTrain Asia. The webinar today is the new normal workforce. And basically what we're going to be talking about is how, as COVID-19 pushes organizations deeper into digital transformation, what do we need for an agile workforce for the new normal? And I will be moderating the discussion today. And the panelists will be Eric Q, the co-founder and executive director of iTrain Asia Singapore, Darren Sacani, the founder and CTO of Abundant, and Dr. Lim Meng Hui, the founder and CEO of SmartPeep Singapore. So what will we be discussing? What is the new normal? So we hear that term a lot. And are we ever going to be going back to the old normal? What are the skill sets and talent that organizations will need to navigate their way through the new normal? What technologies and organizations adopting for now and for the future? And how will these technologies impact hiring? And what skills and capacities are recommended for future employment? As well as how can organizations transition their employees to work under the new normal? So let's have our panelists join. Hi, Eric. Hi, Meng. Hi, Tarun.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
How are you all?
Good.
Great. Where is everyone right now? I'm in Abu Dhabi.
I'm back to Malaysia.
Yeah, I'm in Malaysia now.
Great. Perfect. Okay, so let's dive right in. We don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to start by asking you guys if you can all just introduce yourselves. Right before that, I'm going to start with myself. My name is Nihaz Salim. I am the partner onboarding manager for Expenditures, which is an IT hub based in the Gulf region. And let's start with Eric. Eric, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. I'm actually the co-founder and executive director of iTrain Asia. The company is founded about 15 years ago. Our HQ is based in Singapore. So we have office in Malaysia and Indonesia. So why I'm back to Malaysia now? Because it's like they are closing all the borders. So I have to back to my family because my family is here. And I'm working in Singapore itself. So what our company do is like we are a digital tech certifications provider. We register with Singapore government as a certifications body. So what we do, we provide certifications trainings, content via our authorized training partner. At the moment, it's at about 26 countries. So our main goal is technically is like now helping organizations to improve their digital talents skill, so they can empower their staff with all the digital skill, so that they can actually become more motivated, and in terms of like supporting and contributions to their organization digital transformations. We have been doing this for the last 15 years, and we managed to about certify and train about now should have about 80,000 people in Asia, right?
Oh, wow.
And of course, the majority of them is focused on the deep tech as well as the Industrial 4.0 skill itself. Thank you.
Great. Meng, how about you? Can you tell us more about your organization? Meng, can you hear me?
Sure. Hello everyone. And can you hear me? Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, you can hear.
Hello. Can you hear me? Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So let me repeat. Okay. My name is Meng Hui, and I'm the founder and CEO of SmartPeep. SmartPeep is basically a health tech startup that is based in Singapore and Malaysia, and this is our third year of operation. We have a mission to transform actually healthcare facilities like hospitals and nursing homes into a safer place for elderly people or patients to be in. We develop like proprietary company computer vision technology to help nursing homes and hospitals to automate their monitoring within the facility. In order to discover some emergency situations like falls, like elderly wandering in the public areas, forgot how to go back to their room, seniors getting out of bed alone without assistance. So in these kind of cases, our system makes sure nurses get informed immediately about these events in real time and provide assistance accordingly in order to improve their overall care quality in the organization. So to date, our systems have been implemented across like Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia. Yep, that's it from me.
Okay, perfect, thanks. And Darren, what about you? Tell us about Abundant.
Okay, so hear me properly, but if you can, then my name is Darren Sacani. Okay, great. I'm the founder and CTO of Abundant, which is a big data analytics and digital transformation company. We are headquartered in Kuala Lumpur,
Great.
Malaysia.
Okay.
But we do have a presence, and we basically provide training, consulting, and a bunch of other services across IR4.
Perfect. Great. So everyone's been talking about the new normal. What does that mean for organizations? So Eric, you work in online training. Darren, your organization leads digital transformation. And Meng, you guys work with the healthcare sector. What are we talking about when we say the new normal? What are we thinking here? What does it mean for organizations? Eric, what?
Yeah, maybe I start first. You see, actually this one is the questions that a lot of people are asking. Is like, what is the new normal, and then what is the things has been changes. But what we actually discover now is like the use of digital are getting more common compared to those days. Especially the things is like people using digital solutions for the remote workings. They use the digital solutions for buying things, selling things. They use definitely using digital solutions for the learning as well. So these are the things which is what we see is the difference. So that's why some people say the new normal is actually considered a digital normal, especially in the industry, because during this COVID-19 pandemics, I think many of the countries they actually close all the school. There are like multiple like tens of millions of students get affected because they can't go to school. So what many many school doing is many countries is like they're trying their level best to do online learning, but technically it's not all of them is ready. And what about those organizations? I mean, the country which is that they have poor internet access, or even within certain countries, also not many of the places that have good internet access to the online learning. So I think many people are affected. And then if you compare to those days and now, it's like more people are thinking that like online learning is somehow working, because in the past it's like they actually never do online learning. They never tried before. Actually, don't talk about students, universities, students, and the preschool and all these things. We're also talking about the adult and professionals. So many of them is never tried learning online, but now they actually try, and somehow also they recognize is that online is learning is kind of working because they see their kids actually learn online as well. I think this is one of the things is I would say in the training or the learning industry, we see things is happening, and more people might even continues to do online learning even though after the COVID-19 is passed.
Yeah, great. Darren, what about you? How has this impacted your company, and how do you see it? Do you see anybody going back to offices full time? What is everyone thinking?
Well, the new normal for us means that we are no longer tied to any particular geographic region. We are able to work kind of remotely and collaboratively, provided we have the proper tools and processes in place to ensure productivity. and that we no longer need a permanent office, but rather can have flexible arrangements to ensure that when in-person meetings are kind of required, we can still do so. It also means that we are more cybersecurity conscious and have to be more vigilant about our online activities, since like everything is online, right? Meetings are online, everything, and and like my computer's a little bit slow today, so anything can happen at the spur of the moment. So it's just being aware of all these things, that things can come and crop up that'll screw everything. Also setting up proper firewalls, DNS filters at home are also necessary. Especially if you have a shared household, of course, like I do. So all of these things are, like I'm pretty sure my son is, goofing off with his games and stealing all my bandwidth. So so there's a lot of things that can go wrong. But so I mean that's how we're preparing for the new normal.
We're coping. Great. And Meng, what about you guys? I'm sure you guys are also doing the distance working right now, and you work closely with the healthcare sector. So, I mean, how do you see the new normal for you guys? Is it going to boost? Let's say, is it going to boost business, or has it sort of slowed things down?
Yeah, sure. Actually, new normal to us basically means the new way of like co-working and a new way of engaging our clients and partners. So it's all about adapting to the new way of living and working. So since March, I think we work from home right before our Prime Minister announced it, the lockdown. And we also had, because we are developing software in a team, so there are a lot of communications going on a daily basis before we work from home. So we invest in tools like Zoom call to actually get this done. And we find that like most of us really save time in commuting now, and we can work more efficiently in the beginning. So working hours basically is much more flexible. Some prefer to work in the early morning, some prefer to work in the afternoon. Some may be more focused at night, right? That's what happened to us. And on the business side, we've noticed that our clients and partners are more willing to hop on a direct conference call with us now. They don't expect a lot of face-to-face meetings, which generally makes a lot of things easier for us.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's great. So, well, one thing I hear is that everyone is repeating the same theme, which is that in terms of employment, nobody is tied down to one geography like it was before. So now your employees might be all over, and organizations increasingly are looking beyond their own borders for hiring. So what do you think, I mean, considering this, which is, I think it's a great opportunity for people who want to work remotely, but what do you think, how will the new normal impact employee skill sets? What are we going to be looking at down the line? So Eric, do you see any demand in training for employees, for organizations in specific technologies?
Yes, actually now a lot of organizations, they're asking about certain specific trainings in terms of like get these people to work remotely, and then they're actually asking about the training on the collaboration systems, also the video conference systems, and how to actually conduct a virtual meeting more effectively with using specific tools. But of course, it's like now there are the many different video conferencing tools in the market. It really depends on the customers is like what they are using. So we have to tune this kind of courses for them. Of course, because of like things is like moving online, and then a lot of sales and buying is happening online, and most of the transaction now also a lot of happen in the clouds. So then we can see like more of customers is like they're asking for cloud related trainings, and they also want to understand this is things like on the automations in terms of like using data science and AI. So these are the things that we see there's a search of this kind of trainings. Even though we have Ministry of Health from different countries, they came to us is like they want to actually use data science to analyze the or control the outputs of the COVID. So many of these data analytics training is been happen, and we also see like getting more and more of our customer, they are willingly to attend the class virtually. But of course, it's like they still have a certain concern. Is like how do you engage the audience, the students from trainers and the students, and also encourage the communications, and also it's like how to motivate them. And these are the things is like our customer are constantly asking, whereby that's why now more and more people are looking into something called gamifications. How do you build a virtual learning tools with gamifications embedded in the way to actually motivate them for this to learn more? But compared to
online learning,
we actually see more people more willingly to learn now, because they see this like the things has been changing.
Yeah.
The thing has been changing is a lot of times it's like the learning digital skills is not only for IT or technical stuff. It now the more and more marketing people and then the business people, especially there is one course which is searching during this pandemics is actually digital marketing, because the everything must be moved online. So then they're actually asking is like what's the best way to do digital marketing. So these are another course which is searching. We can see more from the business side and the marketing side of the organizations.
Great, that's fantastic. Meng, so what do you see in terms of hiring or in terms of even your customers in the healthcare sector? Is it impacting the skill sets of people that are either looking for work or others who are looking to hire? Do you see a change? Do you predict a change?
For us, not so much. We are still getting people with experience in AI. Really has experience in getting their hand dirty with the real world data, having the computer vision knowledge. Is more on technical side, and also some of the front end and back end software developers. But however, we do demand them to be more organized and be really clear in their communications, because now we have to work remotely and everything has to be done. The progress, we need to keep ourselves updated in the progress of the team. So in order to avoid some misunderstanding and to avoid some of the negative impact on the process, on the growth. So that is something that we emphasize on when doing hiring under this new normal situation.
Great. And Darren, what about you? So you're working with customers on digital transformation and basically getting them ready to work remotely. Do you see any demand for any specific skill sets or technologies? Do you ever get asked about it?
Well, for us, we kind of help customers to build T-shaped skill sets. Essentially, the idea is that we want generalized specialists, across different disciplines, and this is just being multidisciplinary. So in the past, you may have, like, for example, digital staff, right? That would be kind of like separate from traditional staff like HR, finance, and whatever. And then you would point to them and say, oh, they're the IT nerds, let them handle all that. And in a lot of environments, especially what I saw in Southeast Asia, IT was always seen as a cost center, and I think now companies really will have to reconsider that, and realize that it has to infuse every area of their business. And the emphasis also has to be on creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, much more than it's ever had before, right? So and I think everybody has to step up, essentially, because if you want to be productive remotely, it requires more personal responsibility. And I mean, I'll touch on these topics probably later on, once we get to that. But that's what I essentially see in terms of employee skill sets. Really, they need to step up their game.
Okay, so what I hear is that it's not so much about maybe building your technical skill set as it is about learning basic specifically some new skills like probably learning to work remotely and learning discipline in working remotely. And I think that's a big concern for a lot of organizations right now. One question that we get a lot is what tools are available to help employees work effectively if they're working remotely. So that's another thing that we talk about a lot with our customers. So, I mean, do you see this impact in terms of building skill sets and learning? Basically, it's also going to impact operational employees, right? So, I mean, you talked about, Darren, you talked about the IT team, but we have employees like HR managers or finance teams. So I think they're all going to be building some new skills if they want to keep up with what we're calling the new normal. So, I mean, what kind of skills would those be? Eric, do you see any requests, any demands for any specific technical training or any soft skills training for people who are not IT people?
Well, you see these in quite a number of years ago, we actually starting on programs called Employee Digital Empowerment. So what we do with the organization is like we actually kind of like upskill and reskill all their stuff with the digital skill in order to increase what they call it their digital quotients. And we actually see compared now and the past is like now more organizations are looking into that kind of programs. But of course, it's like because due to the economy is slow down, this kind of discussion might take some time. But then we have like more bigger organizations now start willingly to start the conversations. In the past, it's like they only think like they want to train their IT or technical stuff with the digital skill and the tech skill and all these things. But now actually they are actually talking more about employee digital adoptions. So we also see many organizations lately, even those actually starting from this year, they actually have positions in their organizations. It's called employee digital adoptions positions. So lately we actually talked to a few customers. It's like they are the head of the employee digital adoptions. So we see they can actually start to realize it's like digital skills is very important for all the stuff, because you see when you want to discover the digital or technology opportunities to enable the business, right? A lot of IT or personnel or the technical personnel, they might not know how this business function work well. So they might not know like how the HR function works, marketings, productions, or even like sales and all these things. But then we actually need the business units, the people to be empowered with all the digital skills.
Right.
We have tested with one of the organizations which is have like 30,000-40,000 staff for about 2 years ago. We actually discovered is like they have a more demand of IT projects. So that means it's like the business unit actually recommends or propose the IT projects to the project management department. So in a way, it's like people are always resistant with the digital transformation because they don't know. So once they know, they can actually discover opportunity within their organizations, how to use technology to improve their efficiency or reduce their costs and all these things. So that's why more and more projects are proposed, so that they have to handle easily 30 to 50% more projects requests. So I think this is a good sign to empower your staff with all the digital skill. Especially nowadays, is like other than the cloud and all these things that I'm talking about earlier, there are one thing that we discovered is that I think everyone are looking into some kind of like contactless services. So when you talk about contactless kind of solutions, right? So people are start to think it's like IT might not able to come up with all these kind of solutions, but on the business side, on the factory floor, on those business unit that actually entertain customer day by day. So they are the ones who actually have to come up with digital solutions to solve this. So how do you deal with your customer if you don't, see them face to face? And then even you see them face to face, it's like how do you implement contactless? For example, like one of them is digital payments. right? So you don't touch with each other.
Right.
And the one is like you might using QR code to buy your stuff and all these things. So I think we really have to empower all these general stuff and the IT stuff in order for them to make use of digital tools.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, Karen, what do you think? I mean, you all have employees, and we have colleagues. What do you see? Do you see a request for tools, or I don't know, tools or technologies, basically, to ensure that employees are working effectively, or to try to get employees to work effectively remotely? Because for a lot of organizations, this situation is pretty new. So, have you seen any requests, or how are you guys handling that internally within your own organizations?
Well, when it comes to, non-IT related functions like HR management or finance managers, accounting and stuff like that, basically they have to become more data driven. So the tools that they have to use, to do that are of course different than what they're used to, or the approach is different. So for example, they have to use more data analytics tools, maybe like, Tableau or something like that, and RPA as well. So they really have to understand their business processes, what they do on a daily basis, right? And be able to actually map it out, right? In a tool, and then try to figure out what areas can be automated. So, we see that in banks all the time. Like finance managers, they're working on spreadsheets for like hours or days when that process could be automated, substantially.
Right.
But they still, continue to do it. And, then of course they complain, like, why is it taking me so long? But really it's because they're not aware of these tools. And now it becomes even more necessary, especially if they're working remotely, right? So it's even more important, to kind of automate these processes, because they're essentially at home, and a lot of things can go wrong, and there's no one for them to contact, from home. They can't just walk next door, and ask someone for help. So it's even more important now that that automation really come to the fore.
Right. Absolutely. Meng, what about you? Do you see us making a recovery from the new normal? Do you see things, let me ask it this way, do you see employees going back to offices full time? What do you think? You're in touch probably with the healthcare sector, so you might have some insights, but what do you see in terms of, are we ever going to be like it was before?
I was expecting, actually for us, right? Because we think it would be more efficient for us to work together. So we will be resuming our office operation actually starting from next week, with all the SOP followed. Of course, there will be some overhead in terms of preparing for disinfection and all those things. But we think it would be, because we need a lot of communications, and we think it would be more effective if maybe the development team, the software development team, could work together in order to speed things up.
Right.
Because we have noticed a slowdown in during the process. In the beginning, it's still fine, but after that, because some of our employees may have kids at home and so on, so things they get distracted quite often. So we think it would be a more effective approach to work in office to speed things up.
Okay, great. So you guys will be working back in office. What about you, Darren and Eric? Are your teams going to continue working remotely? Darren, what does it look like for you guys?
So actually for us, we've been working remotely since actually the beginning of March. I kind of laid out an edict, starting March 1st. Before we had the first lockdown in Malaysia. So the first lockdown officially from the government was March 18th. But by March 1st, we had already, I already had started the remote working kind of thing for everybody. Prior to that, our development staff were already given the opportunity to work from home. So one of our staff, used to like come in at 3 p.m. and like leave like at ridiculous hours. We used to reprimand her too. What are you doing, right? But she's very productive. She's highly productive. She's highly independent and responsible.
Great.
And I guess everything depends on the process that you have in place. So we do all our code reviews and everything. Using Bitbucket.
Right.
I go through all the code. We have all interactions on Slack. We do conferencing as we normally would. So
Yeah.
So we've been doing that since like March. So I guess we're used to it. It's just that the other staff, of course, weren't doing that. So they started to get used to it as well. But yeah, I mean, everyone has distractions. There's problems. Right. That's for sure. Children. I mean, right. I have that problem too. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge. So I always make it a kind of like an open option. So if they want to go back to the office, they can, right? But some of my staff, they don't have children or anything to worry about, and they hate the office. So it all depends on who they are.
Yeah, I can see that. So we're also an organization that has, it has branches basically across the Gulf region and beyond in the Middle East. So we've been working remotely. I mean, we've had, in a sense, remote working for years now, just to communicate with the other offices and to meet with the other employees. But yeah, we've also been working, I think, full-time from home since around March. I think people are pretty used to it, but it was very interesting. We actually did a poll a couple of weeks ago, and we were actually surprised to see that 50% of people would like to go back to the office full time, but around 50% are pretty comfortable working from home. And as long as you have the technologies in place and you have and people have the skill sets, I think working from home can be just as effective. So I don't think we see ourselves going back full time. Eric, what about you guys? I think you guys have been doing the remote thing for a while as well, right?
Yeah, we have been doing actually we don't call it work from home. We actually calling it work anywhere. So we've been practice for this is about almost 5 years now. So
Great.
other than certain, if you talk about our own organizations, because we running trainings in quite a number of countries. So we have colleagues in different countries. So we have been always doing a remote work, and then we have a kind of SOP to actually follow. And then but again, it's it really depends on the individual, because we actually have one thing, strange thing happens is like, if let's say the governments in multiple countries, they still continue the lockdown, we start to have like HR approaching us to asking for this kind of meditation training, mindfulness training, that kind of trainings. Yeah. Nice. What happened is like they say their employee is going crazy at home, because they need to handle multiple things. It's like they handle kids, especially when the times the many country government are pushing the school to run online trainings. It's like no one know how to use the tools, right? So then the parents is, rather than like solving their own technical problem, they have to solve their kids' technical problems to go online to learn.
Exactly.
So many of the HR actually, they discover this kind of issue, and then after this is like they discover their employee are not so responsive, and then they also discover they are stretched out. So then they actually request this kind of trainings. But then we actually do arrange some kind of this kind of trainings for some of the customer. But luckily the multiple country, I think now they are open up for people to go to work. I think things is been okay for a while, but then of course it's due to the economy pressure and all these things. So I think we still have quite a number of HR actually ask us to continue this kind of mindfulness kind of trainings to allow the employee to be focused, because I think now the retrenchment is the bad news is everywhere. I think everyone is worried. So I think this kind of situation is still happen. I think actually if you your survey is quite same in this part of the world as well. In Asia and Southeast Asia, it's like about 50%. Of course, like we also discover it's like more young worker want to work from home or work anywhere.
Right.
And then those which work for sometimes the Gen X, they prefer to go back office because it's like they still miss their colleagues. So it's a mixture, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And that's what we saw. So we saw about 50-50. Great. So you mentioned kids, and you mentioned a lot of people have students who are currently learning from home. What do you guys predict for the future of, let's say, students who are now going into universities or college? I think that the whole COVID-19 situation has been pretty pivotal in bringing IT to the forefront. So for a lot of people who were not really concerned with IT, or it's like Darren said, where it was sort of a cost center, and all of these IT nerds, and basically they were there to make sure there was an internet connection. But now I think it's kind of encroaching on every single industry and every single position in one sense or another due to the pandemic. So, Meng, what do you see as a really good, or I think like the upcoming careers? What do you think? What would you advise somebody to focus on if they were looking into building a career in IT?
I think for IT candidates, we do expect them to have a basic programming skills. Basic programming skills to be, because we design our tests and all those things to tighten up the requirement. I mean, tighten up the threshold for intake, because we have been working a lot of interns, and we have a lot of how do we say, refinement in the process to make sure we really get in good candidates for our roles. Yeah. So I don't see a big difference in our hiring criteria. We do prefer people with extra, who would go extra mile, try out different things, or had some maybe hackathon experience, or really doing some other projects with real data, or have some other freelance projects. Those are the ones that we really appreciate, and we really would like to get someone with really real interest in the IT. So those are the ones that we are looking for.
Okay, great. And Darren, what about you?
So, I mean, in terms of hiring practices, well, I mean, I don't know if my company pioneered this, but we have what we call a reverse engagement model. And what that means is that our employee actually decides how they want to work with us. So, for example, they decide if they want to work part-time, full-time, contract, or intern. And so we redefine these things. So an intern to us is not necessarily someone who's in university, right? It could be someone who's 40 years old and undergoing a career change, right? So in other words, an intern is somebody who needs to learn on the job, right? So they don't have all the necessary skill sets up front. So that's what we define as an intern, regardless of their experience and age. So we're redefining that term. And then a contract worker is someone who's allowed to work for somebody else while they're working for us, right? And then, of course, the regular stuff is part-time, full-time, and the only difference really, of course, is in benefits and in hours, right? But both of them get benefits. It's just that one gets less than the other. So really, because of this model, we allow people to pick and choose. So we have people joining us who are interns, right? We have people who are contractors, and we have part-time and full-time people. And the way we hire is generally the same. If, for example, you're part-time or full-time, you have to undergo a 3-step recruitment process. That hasn't changed. So if you're a developer, you have to go for a developer for coding exam and all other stuff. But we always have the same process, right? So there's the initial interview, which is to assess if that person is really the same person on paper. Then like a coding kind of thing or whatever it is, a skills verification. And then the third one is cultural fit. Are you going to fit within our organization, within our team of existing personalities? So I wouldn't say that anything really has changed in that regard.
Okay, great. So even working remotely, it hasn't really impacted that, right? So it's still the same scenario at the moment.
Well, for us, yes, because we had already interns and contractors, and they're not bound to any particular requirement to come to an office or do anything like that. So that's I guess that part hasn't changed.
So Eric, what about you guys? You guys are, you're one of the biggest training providers. What would you advise somebody who is just going into their career? Like, what should they be learning? What do you feel is picking up in terms of IT? Is it AI? What is it right now?
Actually, the thing now is, you see, there's one question that everyone is asking now is like, what is the major cost of digital transformations, right? So in the past, it's like we might cost by customer, cost by this, but lately it's like everyone have the same answer. The major cost of the digital transformation is COVID-19. So technically, it's actually speed up the whole transformations for like some people say even like 5-10 years. So the thing is like in the past, people can say like, I can wait because the AI and big data, IoT, cybersecurity, these are things which is very difficult to learn. So I can wait and maybe another 2 more years, 3 more years, right, to learn that, because the industry demand is not is there, but not like a mass. But now I think it's like for the next 1-2 years, right, you can see there's a mass demand of all this kind of skill, because the whole digital transformation has been sped up. So I think now, if let's say those people who enter the universities, we will actually advise them to do these kind of courses, which is on AI, big data, IoT, cybersecurities, right? All the deep tech courses, cloud computings, because when the time they graduate, definitely is like there's a huge demand there. And the other thing is like what we always say is like to learn AI, like it's not big data. It's not something that like easily to learn, because of the you need a very strong maths and statistics foundations. So we also start to encourage parents to look into their kids. It's like allow them to learn, get interest into the mathematics and the STEAM educations, because this is technically the core and the foundations for AI. If they don't have all these skills, right, technically they will face a very big problem to them about AI. And even though they learn AI, they will become a tools user rather than a creator, because technically you use AI, big data, all these things to solve problems. And to solve problems is like you need to understand the maths, the statistics, and also you need to understand the nature, the science, and all these things in order for you to use AI to solve problems. So I think foundations of the maths is very important. But if you enter university, I think now is better for you to pick up all these deep tech skill, because this one will come very, very fast. And also another skill that like people are looking at now is the fintech. I think these are the skills also is like very needed. And of course, fintech, a lot of times the back end is still AI and data science. You cannot escape from these two.
So you're saying basically the future is for AI, data science, and fintech.
Yeah. So this is I think all the deep tech is there, because you see, what people look into the digital solutions, because they look into the automations. Like just I mentioned about the contactless and those things, you need to automate the whole process. You need to use the digital technology to automate. But when you want to know you want to do automations, maybe you try to kind of like make things run without much human interventions. So technically, everything about this is technically Industrial 4.0, and then it's technically is about AI. So you can't actually escape from AI at this moment of time.
Perfect. Great. So I'm just going to go through a few questions that we've actually received from some people who registered. what do you believe? How are organizations? So we talked about like remote workers and people who prefer working in the office, but do you believe that it's going to be easy transitioning everyone back into regular office hours, regular office spaces? Does anyone see that happening anytime soon? I can tell you guys from our experience, we don't think it's going to be easy for everyone to transition back into it. Even though for us and our customers, the majority of us are actually working from home, it's kind of, so even if days don't start as earlier for everyone, like maybe it's no longer an 8 to 4 or an 8 to 5 day, but at the same time, I think a lot of people 5 p.m. for so many people, because it's all sort of merged into one right now. So home life and work life. So do you, Darren, see that it's going to be a struggle for people to get back to the regular office hours and the regular work?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that that's going to be a struggle for some. Maybe that 50% that enjoys working from home. Right? Yeah. So I do think it's going to be a struggle for quite a few people.
Right.
And I mean, I guess I can't really speak for a lot of those people, because I specifically set up my company because I didn't like the normal corporate structure.
Right.
And so I wanted to be different in that regard. And I think we have accomplished that. So I can't really speak to the regular corporate people, as I like to call it, the normies, as I like to call them.
And you guys are going back to the office soon. So what do you think? Is it going to be a struggle getting everybody back to regular hours and regular work days, or?
Actually, most of our employees would want to work in the office because their internet connection may not be so good at home. So communicating through Zoom call and all those things could be a suffering for them, because you need to start the call a lot of times, and the communication is not really effective. So until now, I personally do not see a problem yet, but I do not know. I'll let you know next week perhaps if there's any problem with them.
Great. So we have a question where somebody's asking, what would you advise, Eric? This one might be for you. So what would you advise? Because a lot of people, unfortunately, under the circumstances, are now facing unemployment. There have been a lot of cutbacks, and especially in certain industries like, let's say, events or hospitality, etc. So there have been some tragic cutbacks. So somebody's asking, what would you advise someone who is basically restarting their career at the moment, that if they're unemployed or they're facing potential unemployment and maybe would like to get into IT or something that where they would be employable? Like, what would you advise? Something maybe simple, or something that doesn't require a technical background. What would that be?
Actually, what we see the current situation is like the company who actually like still have a massive recruitment is actually all the e-commerce and the online companies. I think we can see it's like those few giants e-commerce company now they actually just released. It's like they want to employ 100,000 people in the regions.
Yeah.
Some I'm sorry, not 1,000. It's 1,000 people, 2,000 people kind of things. So I think this kind of skills is like we have to see is like what they are doing. But of course, it's like somehow you have to know a bit of digital skills, because it's like you work in the e-commerce companies. It's like you need to have a digital skill. You need to have like to be data driven. You need to be like kind of like understand all these cybersecurity kind of stuff. But of course, nowadays is like if you ask me whether you worry about the get retrenched, I was thinking what kind of skill that you need to keep up. The only thing I can advise is that you have to like continue learnings. Don't stop learning, because other than the certification programs, there's a lot of online programs that you can actually learn, by yourself. And then this kind of skills is like a lot of times they actually focus on a specific uh, skill set. For example, like if you want to have all the industrial 4.0 programs, and nowadays it's like it doesn't matter which industry that you work. If you have a digital marketing skill, it's definitely a plus point, because you see it doesn't matter any business. What you need is the customer. So if you cannot reach out to your customer, then technically it's like you can't actually run a business. It doesn't matter what business or what vertical you are in. So if you pick up digital marketing skills, right, technically you can work with any organizations. So I think if you want, if you really ask me, it's like the only one that can be used in any industry, don't care in IT or non-IT, I think you pick up a digital marketing skill first.
Digital marketing.
If you are the technical people, and then if you want it to have a high pay and all these things, so I think now many organizations are actually looking for like employing hundreds of AI specialists, because due to the automation. So we currently we work with quite a number of organizations. It's like how we arrange with them is like we actually create something on micro credential. So we actually work with multiple organizations, whoever want to employ a certain level of employee. So now the main one that we actually receive is more on AI. And then the next one is like people want to do more on the data analysis or data engineer. So we actually work with some university to launch micro credential. So to actually equip either you are IT or non-IT personnel to equip you with this skill. And this kind of micro credential normally we do it in not like those certifications training way whereby 3 days, 5 days, 10 days you can get certifications. This one will be more like spread out to like weeks. So you can do it part-time in the weekends. You can do it like 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks kind of a programs. So this one is to equip you with a specific things that you can put into your resume. So that's why we call it micro credential. So the one that we actually launching now, of course, other than the two that I mentioned, is like data engineers, data analytics, and then the AI. We also launched developer, and which is focused on blockchain. So nowadays it's like we can see due to the economy, they might have a surplus of the mobile or web developer, but then there's a niche kind of skill that people need is the blockchain developer, whereby until today it's like very less blockchain developer out there. And when people concerned about the cyber security and all these things, they will definitely want their system to be blockchain enabled. So I think this is another skill that like for any programmer outside, if you're worried about losing your job or you want to find a new opportunities, I will advise you to go for blockchain's developments.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Great. So we just have a few more minutes. Gentlemen, anyone have a piece of advice for people to get through the coming weeks, maybe coming months? It'd be good to hear. Darren, do you have any advice for people out there how to survive this the whole COVID situation?
Well, I guess my best advice is, try to focus on your soft skills as well. Try to develop kind of grit, persistence, resiliency. If you need to go for mindfulness training, whatever it is, whatever works, right? Go for that. But also, I guess having a positive attitude, does go a long way. And then, just trying to be genuine, with other people. If you look too desperate or something like that, like I'm not going to hire you. So, so things like that.
I think another thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I think another thing is that on the note of positivity, that the whole situation is actually really opening up the option of remote working for everyone, remote working and remote hiring. So I can tell you that we were one of the organizations, even though we did hire remotely, we've hired remotely for years now, but we are actually looking to hire from different regions as well, because now this is an option for everyone. And I think we discussed that yesterday, where you had certain personnel that everybody was used to having on the ground or meeting face-to-face with customers. Now everything is being done online. So I think that's actually going to open up a lot of doors for people looking to be employed outside of their immediate cities or towns. So that's also, I think, an edge. Meng, any advice from you for people looking for work or who expect to be looking for work, maybe?
People expecting to look for work. Because we haven't had the plan for hiring foreigners yet, but at the current stage, I would say for people who are expecting to work, I basically have no comments on that. But for employees who really worried about retrenchment, I do have a piece of advice, just my 2 cents. I think the most important thing is not to worry too much, but maybe lower down your expectation on your salary and all those things. Be ready to actually go through this difficult time with the company. The willingness is very important, and the willingness to adapt to change, to really work out a way to actually help in business or help in the products of the company and push it through.
Right.
Those are really something that employers would appreciate.
So be flexible.
Yes, be flexible and lower down your expectation on the benefits that you get, because once this pandemic is over, you'll definitely get a better offer or better benefits where the market is better. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. And Eric, one last piece of advice from you.
Yeah, I think nowadays I think a lot of bosses is like they're actually aware about the benefit of digital technology, because in the past they might not able to see it because they don't actually involve in all these operations in the organizations. But now, because it's like due to the lockdowns from many countries, right? So when this they actually have to force to work at home or work remotely, so the bosses start to actually looking into the digital technology. And when the bosses are looking into the digital technology, they're aware that like these are the things that move forwards. I think as an employee, it's like you need to like speed up yourself, and then to learn as much as you can. In the meantime, it's like to unlearn as fast as you can. You need to unlearn things that like those things that you think it works in the past, but then it might not work now. And then after you unlearn, you must be able to relearn as fast as you can as well. So if you when Talon talk about resilience, right? So a lot of times you have to talk about the people, which is like you can actually work in any environment or any circumstances, whereby the one who who will survive in the long term in the future is the one which is can have the right learning skill. So you have to learn fast, I learn fast, and also relearn fast. I learn fast is the one which is like you have to change your mindset. Those which are still with the old mindsets is like it's hard to actually continue, because it's the thing is like the world is moving fast. Actually, if your organization not moving, right, because every organization in the world is moving, your partner, your customer is moving, especially your customer. True. If your customer is moving fast, right, they're looking into a digital experience kind of solutions. If you can't give them the kind of a solution, they actually will move that to your competitors. And then this one is like it speed up a lot in these few months.
Great. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, gentlemen. It was a great discussion with you guys. So our takeaways for everyone who expects to be looking for work or who's currently looking for work is Darren says stay positive, and Meng says be flexible, and Eric says train. So basically get certified and do it quickly, hopefully. And my advice is to look beyond your borders right now, because a lot of people are hiring remotely. So thank you, everyone. It was a really good discussion with you guys, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.